Okay, I'm on a different phone today. Just get some of this stuff out of the way. I was going to I'm on a different phone because I got my old phone. I got so bored of it fucking up basically with videos and stuff. All the sound cutting out. I'm going to get it repaired, so I've given it to a repair shop, and I got an old one instead. But it seems to be working okay. I was going to try and do this YouTube live on my laptop, but I don't know, it seems to go incredibly slow when I try to do that. So I've given that one up temporarily, and I'm just sticking this out on my old Sony phone. What have I been thinking about? Today I'm kind of excited that we're starting, after dinner, we're going to be starting the Total Life Change 7-day intensive here at Osho Lila in the community. That's like, there's about 16 people coming for that. That's about the upper limit we take. And it's a 1-week intensive using all sorts of exciting and edgy therapeutic processes, a lot of emotional expression, a lot of bioenergetics, working with awareness names where you get a name which is put on your little baseball cap. Everyone has a baseball cap on the program. And, you need to act out the name as kind of an assignment during during meals and during breaks and stuff like that. And that brings a lot up for people. It's an amazing week, and it's really nourishing to co-lead it as well, to feel like a really part of a team making a really powerful changes in people's lives. I find giving, therapy, people don't like to call it therapy, but giving therapy or just helping people is just like, I don't know, it's really cool. It's cool, and it's kind of meaningful for me. So, more and more I'm kind of committing my time to doing that and trying to keep stepping up myself. I'm doing regular bioenergetics every morning and teaching quite a lot, and trying to expand my teaching into London and Brighton, and doing 1-day workshops there, trying to get people together and kind of learning about all the new media platforms that you can use, and seeing just kind of organically, slowly, bit by bit, what works for people. If you have any questions, then feel free to stick them in. Yeah, there was something else I was going to talk about, but I can't remember what it is now. My memory is not so good sometimes. But I don't know, I'm hearing exciting things going on, and slowly, bit by bit, with bioenergetics. It's like one of those things that seems to have been around for like ever, almost, or like 50 years, sorry, which as long as anything has been around, in kind of modern therapy. And yet it's never really taken off to a super big amount. And I don't know, I'm still waiting to see if people really start to get into it and start to realize just how big the mind-body connection is, and just how much and how quickly we can change negative stuff through working with the body. Or more importantly, often, how stuff changes on the surface when we work with our mind and our thinking patterns. But if we haven't cleared the aspects of repression out of the body's muscle system, it tends to not last so long, and it doesn't go so deep. I've been involved a little bit on the sidelines with certain groups where you work with a lot of positivity. A lot of people get together in a room with someone leading it, kind of Tony Robbins style. We can do it, and everyone gets keyed up and fired up, and feeds off each other in this huge energy of positivity. And going to these kind of events, you'd think like, wow, the whole fucking world is going to change like this. But of course it didn't really, and it doesn't so much, and there's a reason for that. It's not, there can be a tendency to blame or whatever, but that's not really ever useful. The reason stuff doesn't really change long term from just getting your mind super positive is that you need to take account of the impressions of negativity in the body, or not really negativity, but repressed emotions in the body. And if you don't take account for that, if you want to overlook that, they will keep coming back. They'll find little ways in. I've spoken quite a lot about this in the past. And I think, we've been through a phase in the last 10 years certainly what I've seen is much less intense, heavy therapy and much more kind of dance workshops and let's save the world stuff. And hopefully, we're now coming back round to realize that all of the kind of happy clappy stuff doesn't really go very deep, you know. And actually, in some ways, on some deeper level, it seems to create situations where the shit gets even worse, you know, whether it's Donald Trump or Brexit or wars or whatever, you know, trying to pretend everything's okay and if we all get together and be positive, you know, it's okay for a while. And if you've got a habitual tendency to be overly negative, of course, you know, it's really great to start to get some positivity going and feeling like you're a good person as a counterbalance. But as a long term strategy, it's not doing very much in reality. And, you know, a lot of people still believe that it does. And generally, over time, what you see is they get very stuck. Also, they get very ill. And so, you know, negativity in many ways is great in the sense that it can lead you much deeper. I was told once, you know, this word hallelujah, you know, is like a famous Christian religious word. Actually means, hallelujah, actually means like hell lights the way to God. Hallelu is light in like Latin, lux. And li is the direction of, and Yah is like an old Hebrew word for God, Yahweh. And in Arabic it does it? Okay, shukran Muhammad, shukran Dishad. Yes, okay, hallelujah. And, you know, in the same way, investigating our negativity as opposed to just trying to shove it out the way, you know, without dwelling on it excessively, but it's a very, very useful practice to develop self-awareness. Because at the end of the day, you know, awareness is like, it's the only thing that really works in the long run. You know, we're all attracted to quick fix therapies. We're all attracted to this, to that, to, you know, when I was younger, I would just go to a different country. If I felt fucked up where I was, you just go somewhere else. But it's like all your shit comes as well, you know, but sometimes it comes kind of by sea. Thailand or North Africa or whatever, wherever I had money for. If I had a lot of money, Thailand. If not so much money, normally Morocco, which I also like very much. And, you know, but after a little while, you find all your shit kind of comes with you anyway, all your trippiness, all your dramas, all your psychology. So you think, that doesn't seem to work really. Some, you know, starting again thing or learning another language thing also can be exciting, but it doesn't really work long term. And at some point, we have to really investigate. You know, we have to investigate, okay, who are we and what is going on? And we have to start to practice quite a lot of self-honesty and just really taking responsibility is the core, you know. It's boring. It's like, if you're a teenager, it's like the last fucking thing you want to do. But we have to progressively stop blaming anything and take as much responsibility as we can for who we are. I just been in the afternoon, Jihad, yeah. Hello, man. Exactly this happened to me last week. I was in a mountain, thought I'd run away from society, but every trauma came up. Yeah, man. It's what, yeah. It's like, you know, it's just how it is. You know, we're here in this incarnation, in this, like, you know, 60, 70, 80 years, whatever we get. And the bottom line is to get as deep inside ourselves and to clear as much stuff so that we can somewhere really move up inside of ourselves, you know. Without having a heavy belief in reincarnation, I'm pretty sure a lot of people come round and round. And the only real way out is to go deeply in. And if you're really brave with that, you get into therapy and bioenergetics and stuff, because it's not like just meditating where, yeah, stuff comes up, but it's like saying, okay, now bring it up, you know. When you start to do group therapy, you're saying, okay, I want to look now, you know. I want to look. You know, I've done all the games, I've done all the hiding, I've done all the running away. Those things didn't work. Now I want to look. And, you know, so I'm happy that this kind of therapy is still around, this kind of deep group process is still around, and that there's the opportunity to get involved in it. And I'm happy, you know, we run a 7-day workshop starting this evening for people. And, you know, I don't need to make lots of exciting Americanized claims about it all, you know. It's not really my approach. I more tell people, you know, how, it's going to be confrontational. You know, it's going to be confrontational. If you want really deep change, you have to be willing to accept some level of confrontation. And if you don't believe that, then carry on doing the kind of therapies you're doing or the kind of stuff you're doing while it's working for you. Great, while it's working for you, great. And finally, no one really knows what anyone really needs, but it's good in many ways that there still is therapy, deeper therapy available. It's for a while it almost looked like it could die out. What with the kind of onset of new age fluffiness on one side and a lot of heavy health and safety and endless litigation stuff going on from the other side, the more mainstream of society, it became incredibly risky, I think, for, especially in the States, to really take a position as a therapist. I never worked in the States, but people I know, it's like, shit, it's like everyone just sometimes wants to blame, and then you've got a legal system which supports that. It's not so great, huh? So, it ends up in a situation where people are afraid to really lead kind of confrontational workshops. And, and yet there is a huge need for it. And there is, increasingly, I think people are getting interested. They've tried a lot of other stuff and it maybe hasn't worked. And now they're starting to look around. I get a lot of people on my channel, on my YouTube channel, saying, hey, where can we learn bio? Where can we do it? Where's the training? And there isn't really one. It's the bottom line. It's not really existing like that. But, and I talk to people who want to train and stuff, and it's like, okay, just keep doing it, keep getting your stuff together, give yourself what you need, and then start taking a risk to get out there and put it out. It's challenging, It's been around a long time, bioenergetics, but it's still developing, and two, it's kind of cutting edge in a way, because it goes very deeply into the mind-body connection. And if you're into that from the kind of intellectual plane, then bioenergetics is the thing, because it's going right into where all the shit is stored in the body, and allowing those muscle groups to open so that we can get some release. So if anyone's watching and you've got a question, then just feel free to put it out. And you can also hit me up on Facebook Messenger or something like that. If it's something where I can leave like a little voice answer, I'm happy to give a go. I don't like to type answers. It also overly involves a kind of objective part of the mind, and I'm avoiding, in a way, I don't want to go down the American route where before you say anything, you have to have disclaimers. It's like it's a drag. It doesn't really work. And the underlying belief system is this hard objective mindset that actually developed in the hunter-gatherer phase of our evolution has really, it really knows it all. And it doesn't fucking know it all at all. It really doesn't. And I'm willing to bet within 20 years, if our science continues, a lot of scientists, they're already realizing it, They've been trying to research consciousness. I've been following this one. I was following it a lot for a few years. And every now and again, they're trying to track consciousness to the brain, and they can't do it. And every now and again, it looks like you're getting really close, and everyone gets very excited. And then it's like nothing very much happens for a long time. Let's start by thanking you so much, and I feel excited when I'm actually communicating with you. Cool, man. Cool. Yeah. So where are you, Jihad? Where are you living? And anything you want to disclose, you don't need to disclose anything you don't want to disclose. I often, I don't know, I feel sympathy towards, I guess you're Arabic, and I feel I was always attracted to Morocco. And when I was in my 30s, I started to search my parents because I'd been adopted, and I found out that my dad was Iranian. Before that, I thought I was half Spanish because I was kind of dark-skinned when I was younger. Kind of faded away a bit now. Look more Anglo-Saxon. But and I never went to Iran, and never made real contact with that part of me. But sometimes I still go back to Morocco just to get into the Medina or something and escape from all this Anglo-Saxon fucking control trip, where everyone is just shouting. I would listen to people, speaking Arabic in the basic, they speak Darija there, this kind of dialect. And you think they're about to start killing each other or fighting each other, but they're just saying hi, and and I'd go into restaurants. I was vegetarian at the time, and I would speak basic Darija, and I would say, you could say, do you have anything about meat, like عندك شي حاجة بلا لحم? But if you say it kind of gently, they just look at you like you don't know what the fuck you're going on about. But if you say it, you really shout it at them like you're about to attack them, then it's like it's okay, then everyone understands you, and there is something in this kind of extreme interactivity in Arab culture that I really, really like, and I think It doesn't get, it doesn't get, I'm not, it doesn't really get, appreciated enough somewhere. Cool. I'm actually Berber. Ethnic group. Yeah, the Berbers. Yeah, amazing. Shawi. Yeah. The Shawi is Shawi. And my tribe is a Shawi. I've heard of this word. I've heard of this word. Shawi. Shawi. Shwiya. No, I don't. Anyway. Cool, man. I got another question here. Aaron, why do you think bioenergetics hasn't taken off in the way yoga has, for example? Okay. I guess yoga is big. It's very big with women, yoga, is what I notice. And I know a lot of yoga doing women. I think for them, it gives them a sense of really being back in control of their body and their life. That's how it seems to me. And and it can get quite addictive in a way. And, with bioenergetics in the same way as like emotional expression stuff, it never really took off big time because it's like one of those things. I used to lead the Om meditation, which is a very intense emotional expression process created by a guy called Varesh at the University. And it was, people would come and love it and they'd all say, yeah, we're coming back next time. But then all the excuses start up just before you go in there. And just before, Sunday morning, it's happening at 2 o'clock. And like Sunday morning, oh, I can't make it this week. Or no, I've got to do this. Or no, I've got to do that. And it's kind of with more confrontational stuff where you get into the emotional body. There is this tendency to find little back doors. Even though you know it's good for you, even though you've done it and it's worked for you, there's this tendency to find little back doors. And so in the community I live in, a lot of people come just to be on 3 meditations a day because they know if it was down to them living in society, they wouldn't be able to do that. They wouldn't be able to commit to that. So they come and that's why they come to workshops or retreats, is because, because they know that left to their own devices, you will bottle out of the stuff. But the yoga is somewhere, I don't know, it catches the woman's attention so much. It's like in a different way, and it's not quite so emotionally confrontational. I think the gym is kind of similar for guys. That's my best attempt at saying why it hasn't really taken off, because there is an extra dimension whenever you get into the emotional body. And I'm not a big esoteric person, but there is this layer of emotionality inside, and when you start to get into that, it's a bit scary, and it can be. Bioenergetics is kind of in a sense a softer way in than say full-blown emotional expression workshops. That's the best. It's a good question. That's the best one. Yeah, shwiya means a little bit. Yeah, mushi shwiya. Cool. I have a question. What is your point of view on chronic fatigue? I'm suffering a long time now. The only thing that works is taking amphetamine, which is not a good long-term idea. Good idea long-term. Well, chronic fatigue is a little bit. I work a bit in that area. And what I see is some people definitely respond to bioenergetics or emotional expression, sometimes it's very, very strong. I think I had a cousin of mine who was kind of remote, and I met her at a funeral a few years ago, and she said she'd been lying in bed for 13 fucking years, with chronic fatigue, ME, as they call it also here. And so it can be pretty extreme, but when you start to come out of it, like you've got some basic level of mobility, a lot of people come to the center where I'm living and working, and they give things a go, like some emotional expression, some Osho meditations, some bioenergetics, and they just see how it works for them. And for quite a few, it's effective. It starts to, it creates more of a mind-body connection. Not so much is known about chronic fatigue. You probably know more about it than me. But one factor for a lot of people is this tendency to be driven by the mind. Sometimes from early childhood situations, having to achieve a lot to get recognition or love from the parents, and then taking that kind of mentality out into the world, working like crazy, and then, getting this kind of adrenal burnout. That's something that I have, so that's certainly one kind of mechanism that seems to get people into chronic fatigue, is this being driven by the mind and the body not really being on board. And just to check on your question. So I think that, bioenergetics is worth trying, man. Miguel. I think it's worth trying. I think emotional expression is worth trying, and seeing if it creates some help. If it creates some change. Recently I'm suffering from a constant conscious belly contraction when talking to people. Is it a result of actually releasing my trauma? Well, it's a kind of question it's hard to answer for certain. Hard to answer for certain, Jihad, but it's probably being triggered by some level of social anxiety, is what I would say. Just not knowing you, not seeing you, and just off the top of my head, it sounds likely when you meet someone, if you get, some people stutter when they meet people. Some people have different forms of social anxiety. I can notice myself mentally rehearsing how this is going to go when some people I think, oh, this is a bit of a tricky one. Or, when I was dating a lot, then someone I massively fancy, be like, oh, it's a bit scary. So I would say, the general approach in body work and body-based therapies is to go deeper into things, to clear them, some work with the belly could be useful. I have some belly activation stuff, and I actually uploaded a belly thing that you can do with a football or a foam roller earlier today. If you look on my channel, you can give that a try. And take it easy with those, because especially with the foam roller or the football, it can be quite intense if you've got a lot of constriction in the belly. But I would say, that if it's your belly where it's manifesting, and it sounds like a kind of anxiety thing to me, and the belly is highly associated with anxiety generally in body-based therapy. So I would give something like that a try for 5, 10, 15 minutes, and giving yourself a nice bit of time afterwards just to chill out, because it can be quite intense when you stop it. Check my video out. I only uploaded about an hour ago. And just see if that provides any release, if you feel better afterwards. I'm finding working in the belly is like fucking awesome. For me, it's giving me a lot of change in my life, and it's just, I don't know, it's like the main point really inside the body where a lot of development can really happen, because a lot of shit is held around there energetically. People get tension in the belly, or they try and pad out the belly by eating too much sugar, whatever. It's a basic avoidance strategy for both of those, whether it's tension or eating, for really getting in there and feeling what's happening in the belly. And the belly is like the central connection point where your whole body connects up, And so, when you're conscious of that, it increases your healing at a phenomenal rate. People are always asking me about this, that, or the other therapy and blah, 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 and it's all okay. But, if you really get yourself present in your belly, I don't think you're going to need any other mind-based healing strategy. You won't be going to the New Age bookshop or the library and picking up all the mind, body, books, mind, body, spirit books, and flicking through them for this therapy, that therapy, this therapy, that therapy. Because there's whole classes of people who do that all the time. But if you get in your belly, you're probably not going to bother with that. You're probably not going to be too worried about what you eat. You will eat what you need to eat, and you will stop eating when you need to. And, you will just feel good inside your body. I think it's the most awesome fucking thing ever, really. It's your body's natural healing center, and we tend to just decamp it and go into thinking about everything excessively. But, when you start to work on the belly, you can slowly bring the awareness back into your body, back into the belly. And it's just fucking awesome. It really is, it's absolutely incredible. I'm reminded of this movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Total Recall. They made a remake of it sometime, but the original, right at the end, it's this planet Mars, and it's totally fucked up. It's being run by these corporations who are exploiting the crap out of everybody, and basically, at some, right at the end of it, he doesn't even know if it's real or not. There's some point where he puts his hand on this kind of thing in the planet, and everything starts to work, and oxygen starts to pour into the planet, and everybody becomes healthy and happy. And it's like part of human mythology that there's one thing that we can do that's going to heal us. It's kind of deep written, in Gnostic tradition and stuff like that as well. And it's kind of deep embedded in our psyche, and the belly is the point. It's the belly. When you can bring your awareness right back into the belly and open that area up energetically, it's a huge healing in your life. Your whole upper body starts to relax because your mind starts to get it. Half the jobs our minds are doing, there's really no need for it. Thank you so much. This is valuable. Cheers, Jihad. Cool, man. Half the jobs our mind is doing, you see people's minds endlessly trying to run their sex life. If there's anything that's just a waste of fucking time, it's that, if you ask me. So the belly is like the pill that changes the game. To me, yes, definitely. It's so great to work at the gut level. I'm running some one-day workshops in London and Brighton soon, and I'll be doing a lot of gut stuff there to start with, and get people breathing and feeling down into the belly. And there's some workouts on my channel going in there. Yeah, what was I saying? If you try and just run your sex life, from your mind, thinking about attraction, thinking about having sex, thinking about trying to have sex, trying to keep a hard on if you're a man or this kind of thing, you just drive yourself endlessly crazy. Your mind is not designed to be running your sex life. It's run from your hips, your pelvis, your guts, you know. Sure, the mind can do a bit, but it is not designed to be primarily running it. And so people drive themselves crazy. Ahmed Baba Stud. How can I defeat my fears? Well, the classical thing that you do in like behavioral therapy is you go into situations where you're fearful in a controlled way and you breathe and you keep feeling your body. And the bottom line with fear is to try and do stuff in a way that's safe, moving towards the object of fear, whatever the situation, but you keep breathing and feeling. And it's likewise in bioenergetics. You basically put your body in certain stress positions, and instead of freezing and holding and going into survival mode, you just breathe and you just feel and you allow the feelings to come. Whether it's childhood emotions, whether it's just feeling in your body, just sensation. So fear is essentially, on a deep level, it's a contracting of breathing. Sometimes we get trauma in early childhood at a time when our brain is not really, up till about 4 or 5 years old, our brain is not really developed enough to really, process emotions fully. And so, traumatic events get held inside of us. And the bottom line is we contract our breathing, contract to the throat level and try and hold everything in. And this breathing out is really, really important. I contracted for years and years, and I still feel myself contracted sometimes. Really, I have to breathe more. So to defeat fear, essentially, and defeat is not the ideal word to use, Ahmed, if I may say so. You want to somewhere make friends with the things that you're afraid of. Ideally, I mean, of course, some fear is needed. If you're going to start walking across the M1, it's not a good idea at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You're going to get run over by a bloody bus. So some fear is intelligent, but if you're talking about normal social anxiety, about moving towards, say, women that you fancy, or interactions with other friends, at work and this kind of thing, where you feel yourself overly anxious, finding a safe way in breathing and feeling is good. Come to a workshop if you're in the UK. I run a lot of groups around this kind of thing. Thomas, hello, Devaraj. I have a question about crying. I'm recovering from an addiction. I feel a lot of sadness and depression. But every time I want to cry, it's like my neck is blocking it from coming out. Okay. How can I overcome this? Okay. Okay. Fear of crying. I'm trying to think. I didn't cry for like 10 years when I started doing therapy, and I was doing group therapy, one workshop a month. And on the fifth workshop, I just suddenly spontaneously burst into tears after doing a lot of screaming and shouting session. And people were kind of cuddling me and hugging me and stroking me. And I didn't know what the fuck was going on, but it did not feel like a release. And I think, the thing is not to necessarily push anything too much, but to keep working with something like bioenergetics. You can get into my channel or come for a workshop. It supports you to feel deeper emotions often, some traumas that we have happen very early in life, and such a kind of weight to them. It's like we have to start to clear a lot of other stuff first and really feel inside our body before we feel good enough, before we're enough to really just let go and cry and weep, especially for guys, where there's usually a lot of social conditioning that it's not really okay to cry, you know. So I would say just keep really working at it. And, I totally identify with what you're saying. I've also had it myself, this desire to cry. You can also work with some of the shoulder workouts I've got going on, which open up the main point where we restrict a lot of feelings. Or one of the main points is between the shoulder blades on the back. I'm kind of tapping it here. You can guess where it is. And by thinking and doing, there's an area here where I open that area. I hope it's not going to cut out too much, but anyway, it's ruining my life and my health. Well, I guess for surgery and doctors, but it's ruining my life. I suggest you do an operation or something. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know if we're still connected here. Maybe I've been improving the Wi-Fi here, but it looks like I need to do a little bit more. What? Yeah, I'm trying to get this Wi-Fi to come on a bit better, but feel free to keep asking. Looks like the internet connection's gone down a bit. Well, I'll see if we get back on. And just feel free. Hey, Luigi. Having a few Wi-Fi issues here yet again. I'm just trying to get something on my laptop to fix it, but do feel free to ask any questions. It looks like maybe we're coming back. Yeah, I think we're back online. Hopefully. I'm just trying to see what the hell's going on here. I mean, if you got for it, I don't know if you're still there, Luigi or Amit, who I was speaking with, but if you've got something to ask, then feel free to just go for it. I think it's working again now. I'm just trying to improve it even more by getting something else, another Wi-Fi thing to start up. Yeah. Okay, did someone ask a question? Luigi. Yeah. So if you got a question, ma'am, feel free to go for it. I'm just trying to get the Wi-Fi to come back on properly. And then hopefully we're all back running. Anyway, I mean, I guess I can do another 10 minutes if anyone's got any questions. I apologize for the Wi-Fi situation. I'm kind of trying to get it together a bit more. Okay, I'll give it a couple more minutes to see if anyone's got anything to that they want to add, or if anyone else comes back online. And otherwise, you call that a day. I got to get on a little bit soon, and I got to finish reading a couple of life stories before therapy group that I'm co-running starts. Anyway, it's cool to do these sessions, and I enjoy being able to support people. And thank you for your appreciation. I'm going to give it another minute or so and see if there's any other burning questions. Yeah, I don't know. I keep thinking maybe I should, like subscribe to some kind of therapy magazine and keep up to date or something. And then I think, what's the point? I don't know. Feel free to send me links of anybody else who's doing interesting stuff in this field. I know Elliot and some other guys at it, but I haven't seen so many people on YouTube really picking